Yeah. Today's recipe is a quick bread. It's a cinnamon quick bread that you could whip up and bake in just under an hour. Today I'm going to show you how to make it, and we'll also do some Q&A at the end. So grab some tea and let's go. To get these ingredients together and into the oven, it's gonna be under 10 minutes. Be sure to preheat your oven and prep your baking sheet with parchment paper or grease, or that part technically you can do right before you dump your batter in. Get out a large bowl and begin adding in your wet ingredients. We're gonna be using applesauce, dairy-free milk, and coconut oil to get things started. Whisk this all together and then move on to your dry ingredients. Before moving on, I do want to say typically sugar in baking is considered a wet ingredient. This is why in recipes sometimes it will be called to cream it together with butter or even add it in with your wet ingredients to get it to dissolve. In this particular recipe, I haven't really found much of a difference either way you try it out. With our dry ingredients, I start off with adding in the flour, then have everything else come right behind that. Then, with a spatula, I'll slowly begin mixing everything together, being careful not to overdo it. If making this for the first time, try using a fold-in motion rather than a mixing motion in order to combine everything. This will give you a feel for how it's supposed to be, and folding is a lot more careful when needing to combine the batter than mixing would be. Due to this batter being a thicker batter, it's really easy to overmix or even be tempted to use a mixer in order to get it together. We'll go over why later this is a bad idea in the Q&A. From here, you're gonna bring together your cinnamon and your sugar, and that's gonna be what you use to make this bread a cinnamon bread. I know. It's pretty obvious, right? But I just wasn't sure what to say there, so there you go. In your loaf pan, begin to pour about half of your batter into the pan. With your cinnamon sugar mixture, take that and add it on the first half that's inside of the pan. From here, you're gonna add the rest of your batter on top of that, and then again, you're gonna come in with that cinnamon sugar. At this point, you could be pretty much done and pop it into the oven. But if you're like us, you like to swirl it a little bit. So take a knife, stick it all the way to the bottom of the pan, and pretty much just make circles and have fun. Again, doing the circles, it's recommended, but it's not necessary. This isn't a beauty pageant, so it really doesn't matter what it looks like when you're done. The true beauty is in the taste of the bread. That felt like a Socrates moment. I should write some food poetry. Is that a thing? Babe, is food poetry a thing? At this point, it's complete. Take it over to the oven and bake it up until the toothpick comes out clean. When it's done, you should have a quick bread that your entire family is gonna devour. Absolutely. Any neutral oil will work in this recipe. Sometimes we'll actually add dairy-free butter because that adds just a little, touch to the recipe, that buttery taste. One other thing to consider about coconut oil in this recipe is that it typically solidifies, but that's 100% okay. I just want to point it out just in case you run into that issue when making it. Yes, it's supposed to be a good, thick batter when you're done. But also, if you're using coconut oil, like I just mentioned, that will solidify, so it may feel like it's a bit stiffer than it's supposed to be. But again, 100% okay. Dense quick bread can happen for various reasons, but the most popular reasons we found are overmixing and mismeasuring. So use a spatula when doing the mixing and stay away from any type of mixer, hand or stand mixer. Also, properly measure and level your ingredients before putting it in, because if you go a little over, there's really not much you can do about it. Once again, refrain from using a mixer and just use a spatula. Quick breads are all about finesse. If you go in there with a jackhammer and a drill in order to mix your bread, it's bound to feel like concrete. So remember to fold, because it all comes down to the flick of the wrist. Yes, I would recommend using either the King Arthur 1-to-1 brand or the Bob's Red Mill 1-to-1 brand, because both of them have been tested and come out amazing. I wouldn't say there's a best milk to use. You know, use whatever you love the taste to as far as a dairy-free or plant-based milk goes. And consider that, you know, for example, just because we like almond milk or oat milk, that may not be your favorite. So use whatever your favorite is, as any of them will work here. I guess, you know, this depends on your household, because in my household, this bread lasts about 7 minutes and 37 seconds before it's gone. But if you're asking that question because you would like to make it ahead, I would say it should last somewhere between 3 to 5 days, as long as it's stored appropriately, which is at room temperature. If you take a bite of it though, before you store it, chances are it's not gonna last at all. This simply means that the bread is made with, you know, baking powder or baking soda. This allows the bread to be baked immediately, rather than using like yeast, for example, where you're waiting for a rise before you put it in the oven. Why, yes, we do. Head over to makeitdairyfree.com. That's Larisha and I's website, and you can find plenty of quick bread recipes there to enjoy. All right, family. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and drop a comment on the video. Follow us and tag us on IG if you aren't already once you make this bread, because we love showing your stuff off. As always, believe in good. Peace.